1 week ago, right before Star Wars The Acolyte Episode 3 released, I saw a bunch of rumors online that it was going to completely destroy the Force, it was going to break the fandom apart, it was going to destroy canon, it was going to completely change the way that we view the Force and everything, and that they were going to turn the Force into this female being. Overall, I heard this episode was going to be horrible. When I started watching it, I was basically bracing for impact. I was expecting the worst. I truly was going in like this was the end. But I watched the entire episode, I made it to the end, and I thought it didn't break anything. But then I went on the internet, and I saw that my opinion is not very popular with the Star Wars fandom right now. Everybody thinks that this episode destroyed the Force, it destroyed the birth of Anakin and the efforts of Darth Plagueis, it destroyed the prequel trilogy, it destroyed Star Wars. That's what everybody is saying on the internet. I'm basically just making this video to try and set the record straight a bit. So for those that are watching this, and I know definitely do not agree with what I'm about to say, come in with an open mind. I know that the way that I think about this episode is not popular, so going in, I want to explain my biases to you guys. First, I do not know or really like Star Wars Legends that much. I have not read any of the Thrawn trilogy or the Plagueis novel, which I'm going to be talking about a lot in this video. My only experience with Legends is the Force Unleashed games and Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast. I have not read any canon novels. I have not read Aftermath or the Tarkin novel or the Vader comics, which I'm going to be talking about the Vader comics and Tarkin a little bit in this video. I have not read the Ahsoka novel. I've not read that canon book. I've not read Dark Disciple. I get the gist. I understand what these books did. I understand what happened to them. And also, for The Acolyte, I don't think the show is horrible. To be clear, yes, the show has problems, and I'd rank it low in my Star Wars TV show ranking, and if you don't like the show, that's fine. Take what I say with a grain of salt. You don't have to agree with me, and in fact, it's fine if you disagree with me. I'm just putting some information out there so you can come to your own conclusion. You don't have to agree with my thoughts or my takes. So if you haven't watched Star Wars The Acolyte Episode 3, go give it a watch, and then come back to this video so you understand and can listen to what I'm saying with a clear mind. So there are a few major things that people are critiquing about this episode, like the way it redefines the Force, the way it changes the Chosen One prophecy or Anakin's birth, and a couple of the dumb stuff like the bricks burning and May suddenly deciding she's going to kill Osha. I want to start with the Force. So we all know what the Force is. It's an energy field that surrounds all living things. It surrounds us, penetrates us, binds the galaxy together. That's what Obi-Wan said. That was our introduction to the Force as the Jedi understand it. Then there's the Sith, which view the Force completely differently than the Jedi. They do not view it as an energy field. They view it as a weapon. They view it as a tool of oppressing other people, of conquering. They view it as a means for control. That is the Sith. That is the way they view it. And does the Sith view of the Force contradict the Jedi's view of the Force? Yes, it does, and that is why the Jedi and the Sith do not like each other, because they view the Force differently, and that's why they've been fighting for thousands of years. So now you have the Jedi's view, the Sith's view, and now there's the Night Sisters. The Night Sisters don't view the Force as an energy field or as a weapon. They view the Force as magic. They view it as a means of conducting rituals, of doing these unholy things like bringing back the dead, cloaking each other, or repairing Darth Maul. They use the Force for stuff that the Jedi, and mostly the Sith, don't use the Force for. So it is unnatural in the perspective that the Jedi and Sith view it. So with that in mind, there is now this new group of Force users on this one part of the galaxy that we've never been to, on this planet that we've never seen, using the Force in ways that we've never seen before, like the Jedi, Sith, and Night Sisters. They don't view the Force as an energy field, or as a weapon, or as magic, per se, at least from what we know they don't view it as magic. They view the Force as a thread that can be pulled on to manipulate reality, manipulate the world around them, which kind of, it's not too far off from the truth. It's not the energy field that surrounds all living things like the Jedi, but if these witches had the same belief of the Force that the Jedi do, then why would they be their own separate thing? They would just be Jedi. Us expecting all Force users in the galaxy to adhere to the same belief of the Force that the Jedi hold is kind of dumb. Of all of these different beliefs, these new witches, the Night Sisters, the Jedi, the Sith, how do we know which one is objectively the truth? Here's how. In the Clone Wars, Yoda goes to the wellspring of life, the place where the Force originated. He meets the Wills, who guide him to achieving immortality in the afterlife. And also, Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan went to Mortis, where they met the Mortis gods, and they reinforced this belief of the Force, that it is an energy field that surrounds all living things. So, the way that the Jedi view the Force is objectively the truth, and everybody else is wrong. That is the way that Star Wars built it up to be, and that's the way that George Lucas also intended it to be, because balance in the Force is not when the light and the dark are equal, or the Jedi and the Sith are equal in numbers. It is when the dark side is gone. It is when the dark side has completely faded away and the light is supreme. That is balance. That is what Anakin brought at the end of the Chosen One prophecy by killing Palpatine and dying in the process, leaving the Jedi as the only ones in the galaxy, the light side. Balance. So this random group of Force users believing the Force is a thread doesn't mean anything. Their word means nothing compared to what we've seen, which is the truth in the Clone Wars. Don't take these witches' belief of the Force as the truth. They can believe that the Force is this thread. That's fine. They're not even that powerful because their belief in the Force is wrong. We see them die by a basic explosion or a fire, or maybe it was sabotage by Torben or this dark side user that's living in the background, because there's still 5 episodes left in the show. We don't know what killed these witches. All we know is that these witches, all things considered, are not very powerful, which is why they're in such short numbers, and that's why they all died so quickly. But you might be asking, if these witches were not so powerful, then how did they manage to create Maya and Osha? And to that, I do not know. It's June 17th right now, and episode 4 of The Acolyte has not released. So everything that I know, I'm going off of episode 3, and I don't have all of the answers because episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 have not released yet. The internet does not have the answers to this question. Everybody is just sort of making up their own guesses, which is that they used the Force to create Maya and Osha, and that by doing so, it invalidates the Chosen One prophecy. It invalidates Anakin's birth, which it does not. Even if they use the Force to create Maya and Osha, it's fine, because that's not how Anakin was created. The majority of the vocal Star Wars fandom on the internet seems to think that Darth Plagueis created Anakin, and that it was this miracle, it was the first time it was ever done, and these 2 random witches doing it for 2 Force-sensitive children completely invalidates the birth of Anakin Skywalker, which it does not, and I'm going to explain why. So this idea that you're seeing on the internet right now about Plagueis being the one who created Anakin is completely false. It came from a book that released in, I believe, 2012, before Disney acquired Lucasfilm. And in this book, it's detailed that when Plagueis and Palpatine were experimenting with creating life, the Force realized that they were experimenting with that and basically just said, no. You can't do that. And in turn, it rebounded and created Anakin Skywalker, the one prophesized to bring balance to the Force and defeat the Sith a few decades from that. But again, this book is not canon. There is no evidence in the current canon that Plagueis actually created Anakin Skywalker. And sure, Plagueis is mentioned in a few other places in canon. He's mentioned in the Vader comics, and I believe the Tarkin novel, and maybe he's mentioned in a few other places, but again, I have not read those books. When I was preparing to make this video, I did my own research to confirm that, and please do your own research. You don't have to believe a word that I'm saying, but if anything sounds unlikely, please do your own research and confirm it. From what I found out, Plagueis is mentioned in Tarkin as having given a droid to Palpatine. Whatever, sure, it's cool, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't add anything to Plagueis. Sure, this droid was from the Plagueis novel, but this droid being given to Palpatine in a canon book does not canonize the Plagueis novel. And since there hasn't really been a whole lot of information about Plagueis in canon, we don't know what he actually did before the Phantom Menace. We don't know much about him. All we know comes from the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, which I'm sure a lot of people watching this video probably have the entire thing memorized. I have it mostly memorized as well. Darth Plagueis, Dark Lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, influenced the midichlorians to create life. He taught his apprentice everything that he knew, and his apprentice killed him in his sleep. That is all that we know about Darth Plagueis. We don't know if he actually succeeded in creating life. That has not been established in canon. But let's keep going with this. Let's keep pretending that he does know how to create life in the context of Darth Plagueis, as mentioned in Revenge of the Sith, who is named twice Plagueis in all of the visual, TV show, movie, media, Star Wars canon. This one vague character who is mentioned in one scene as being the one who created Anakin Skywalker. George Lucas did not intend that. In fact, the Plagueis novel itself is not George Lucas's vision. That is the vision of somebody else. George Lucas visioned Darth Plagueis as being a Neimoidian, not a Noom. So this other writer, whose name currently escapes me, making the Plagueis novel and directly going against what George Lucas planned for Darth Plagueis, if I was looking at that from the perspective of a complete George Lucas purist, I would look at that one detail as complete and utter disregard of George Lucas's vision. But that's just me. I haven't read it. I don't know everything about it, so take my words on that with a grain of salt. Plagueis did not create Anakin. Then who did? One of the Vader comics, from what I have researched, heavily implies that Darth Sidious created Anakin by using the Force to impregnate Shmi. Even though that sounds weird, it's the Force. And that was just a vision that Vader had in a dark side nexus, so we don't really know how much of it is true. Let's pretend that all of it is true. Let's pretend that this canon Vader comic is absolutely true and Palpatine did create Vader from the perspective of these comics. How canon are these Star Wars books exactly? Because the Ahsoka novel got decanonized, that Kanan book got decanonized, Dark Disciple got decanonized, even though they claim it didn't decanonize anything. It kind of did. And all of those books got decanonized because there was a new piece of Star Wars material, a TV show or a movie or something was coming out that overruled stuff that happened in the books, which is fine. I think that's perfectly fine. For those that are heavily into the books and deem them as canon, do you look at that and say, well, this new TV show or movie or game is not canon because it discredits this comic book which already was canon? Or do you look at it as this TV show overruled this canon book, so this TV show is now canon and this book is not? Are all of these new canon books actually canon, or are they just canon until some movie or TV show comes in and changes that? So with that in mind, are the Vader comics canon? Debatably, until something else takes its place. Then who did create Anakin? Because it's not Plagueis, it's not Palpatine. Who did it? The answer is the Force itself. The Force created Anakin, not some living mortal being. The Force itself. Maya and Osha were created by somebody else manipulating the Force. They're two very different things, and the fact that Osha and May still needed to be created through the influence of a mortal Force-using being, I think it makes the Chosen One prophecy even better, because the Force itself created Anakin, not some people. And I really just want to stop the narrative that Darth Plagueis created Anakin, because it is way too common among the Star Wars fandom. A lot of people believe that, which in Legends it's true, but in canon it's not. And the Force itself is not broken. It is not a thread that you can pick and pull from to change reality. It is an energy field that surrounds us, penetrates us, binds the galaxy together. The Acolyte didn't change anything. It just gave a new perspective, which is not true. Those are the two main things that I wanted to talk about, and I think it's foolish of all of us to be jumping on episode 3 and saying that this ruined Star Wars and it completely broke everything, because this isn't the first time the Star Wars fandom saw one episode of a Star Wars show and immediately jumped to conclusions. Just look at Kenobi episode 2, where Reva stabs the Grand Inquisitor, and we're supposed to believe that the Grand Inquisitor just died right there. There was outrage among the fan base. You can find old video clips of this. Again, don't take my word for it, do your own research. They just killed the Grand Inquisitor, nothing with him in the future means anything, and how could Lucasfilm ever do this? But for all of the fan base with their very rightfully concerning criticisms about what the Grand Inquisitor's death meant for Star Wars, in episode 5 the Grand Inquisitor came back, our question was answered, okay, Rebels is not decanonized, nothing is broken, we're fine now. I want to leave you guys with a thought. What if The Acolyte episode 3, leaving the fans with this new uproar and we're all pissed and we're mad about what this episode did to the Force or Anakin, supposedly, but I just explained how all of that is false. What if the general fan perspective of this episode is wrong, and just like Kenobi, in a few episodes, we will get an answer to all of our questions that will solve everything. I'm not saying it will happen. I have not seen the rest of the show. Nobody has seen the rest of the show. But maybe it'll happen. Maybe we'll get answers to our questions, and then we can all relax a little bit. But that's pretty much it. So let me know if you enjoyed this new format of video, because usually I don't make videos where I just rant about things for a long time. So if you're interested and you liked it and you'd like me to do more videos like this, then let me know in the comments. Or if you completely disagree with everything that I said about the Force or Anakin's birth or Plagueis or any of the canon or Legends novels, let me know there as well. well, because I want to know. And remember, do your own research. Confirm the information that I have given you for yourself so that you can come to your own conclusions. But with that, I'm going to end the video, so see you guys next time. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys later.